Welcome to the Michael Kouly Podcast on rethinking leadership. In these episodes, we will look at leadership with a fresh perspective and take your leadership effectiveness to the next level. For more information, go to KoulyInstitute.com and follow Michael's continuous learning insights on social media.
You're asking, why do I keep linking leadership to happiness? My question, I'm going to ask a question. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that we really want from life that is different, that's from happiness? There's nothing else. If you ask anybody, ask yourself now, ask yourself 5 whys. Why are you working hard? Probably you say to be successful, right? Why do you want to be successful? So that you can socially become more respected, and so that financially you become wealthier, and professionally become more fulfilled. Okay, why do you want to do that? And then there's another answer. Then why you want to do that? I bet you, after 5 or 6 whys, if you just keep asking why and why and why, the conversation will end with the following reply: because I want to be happy. Everything we do for this. Why do you want to? How do you choose a car? If you want to buy a car, what on what basis do you choose a car? Would you choose a car that would make you miserable? Of course, within the limits of your budget, you will choose the best car that will make you happy. That when you sit inside, the car, when you test drive it, when you look at it in the morning, you feel happy, even if it's a broken car, or it's a second or third hand car, pre-owned, and it's in a bad condition. If you bought it because you did not have a car, and because having this car will make things better for you, easier for you, right, i.e. happier, then you'll be happy. And the same applies for every situation. I mean, give me a scenario where people do things deliberately to make them miserable. The underlying purpose of everything we do is to make us happy. That's the underlying purpose. Now, does it work all the time? Of course it doesn't, because we have issues, we have baggage, we have hungers, we have our own demons, we have insecurities. There's so many forces that are pulling us in so many different directions. So we miscalculate, and we know that we're going in the wrong direction sometimes, and it's obvious to us, but we still do it because it's some other hidden force is driving us in that direction. So we end up making ourselves, instead of happier, more miserable. So we do that. That's part of human nature. But also, at the core of human nature is that we have this desire, we have this aspiration to be happy. And so what's the point of leadership if it doesn't end up in making people happy? What's the point? Why would you exercise leadership in mobilizing yourself to live a better life, to have better habits, to replace your bad habits with better habits, to gain more beautiful habits, healthier habits, to live a healthier lifestyle, to do the things that you love doing? Why would you mobilize yourself in that direction if it's not for the final outcome, and that's to make you happier? Why would you exercise leadership in your family, if it's not for? What's the purpose of leadership in your family if it's not about creating a happier home? A home where there's more laughter, a home when there are more smiles, and a home where there's more serenity, there's more peace, where the presence of everybody, each member of this home, in the lives of the other members of the home is a blessing, where people at home just keep enriching each other's life, supporting it, making life easier sometimes when it's hard, right? And adding more smiles, more jokes, more, more elegance, more beauty, more moments of just taking on life and enjoying it, like you're sipping hot chocolate or your favorite drink. So what's the point of leadership at home if it's not about creating more happiness? What's the point of leadership in your team if it does not end up in creating a happier team that will produce better results, that will fulfill its purpose in a more enjoyable, productive, and to the highest standard? What's the point? What's the point of exercising leadership in your organization if it doesn't create growth that will make everybody celebrate this growth? What's the point? And what's the point of running a country or becoming a policy maker or being part of the public sector if it's not to elevate the quality of life in the country? Now, of course, there's corruption and there's a million reason to be cynical and make jokes about this, but in the end, that's what we're supposed to do as when we exercise leadership in the public sector. It is to create a happier country, a happier environment, a healthier environment for us and our families and loved ones and our children and grandchildren live a better life. So of course leadership is about happiness. Of course, 100%. I can't see any other reason that leadership is about happiness. Now, of course, happiness is a complicated word, is a complicated concept. I mean, not complicated, it's a deep concept. Because, and we'll talk about that in a different episode. But what I mean about happiness, I mean making life better, making life more enjoyable, elevating the quality of life. So in some cases, it might be removing unnecessary pain. In some cases, it might be exercising compassion. In some cases, the best act of leadership is to just wipe out a tear, from the cheeks of a crying baby or somebody who is in pain, or somebody, give hope to somebody who is losing hope, give strength to somebody who needs strength, hug somebody who needs to be hugged, right? Alleviate some of the pains of whoever is in pain. So whatever that is, whether you're adding more smiles, right, or removing more tears. Because in the end, in my definition, leadership is about just adding one extra smile and removing or wiping out one extra tear. So in both cases, if you're adding smiles or wiping out tears, what you're really doing is that you're making life better. You're making life better. That's the purpose of leadership. It has to make life better. Otherwise, it's a manipulation technique. It is like, somebody says, okay, I have a vision, I have some vision in my mind, and that makes sense to me, and through some persuasion techniques or communication techniques, so through some, applying principles of psychology, sociology, and whatever it takes to mobilize people, right? Because there's a science to that, and you can learn how to do that. And then so you apply that science, and you influence people through that science, the application of those techniques, and the people will follow you. You can do that. But the question is, where are you taking them? What kind of impact are you making on them? Right, this mobilization that you have succeeded in doing. Okay, whatever you've done, you're doing. It's working, and people are listening, and you're mobilizing people. Okay, that's great. But where are you mobilizing them to? Where are you taking them? Is it to a better place? Is it to a better reality? For them, I emphasize for them, because leadership is about them. Leadership is about them. So is it a better reality for them? If it is, then fine, that's great. But in many cases, unfortunately, it's not about that. I mean, if you look about some, how do you explain when in corporate leadership, people end up sacrificing the environment, sacrificing the working conditions of their staff and employees, sacrificing the well-being of society, sometimes doing tricks with the tax evasion stuff, or polluting the environment, or breaking laws, or how is that leadership? Is that leadership? They succeed in doing that. They mobilize, and they people are smart. They mobilize, and sometimes they get away with it. For what reason? For a reason that relates to them, either to become wealthier, or is because of greed, or fulfilling some needs to prove themselves, or success, whatever it is. But it's about them as the person himself who is calling himself as a leader. It's about fulfilling certain needs and desires in him at the expense of everybody else. Is that the kind of leadership that we want to promote? We want to teach our kids? Is that the kind of leadership that will ensure the survival and growth of life around us, of our organizations, of our societies, of our families? I don't think so. That's why the ultimate objective has to be happiness, has to elevate life. Same thing in the government. You see policymakers, how when they make policies, if you really dig, there's a hidden agenda, and the hidden agenda is whatever serves their ambitions in power and in assuming office, and all the benefits of the office, the physical, psychological, emotional benefits of the office that they assume, or they're occupying, at the expense of what's good for society or for the country. So, and they succeed in doing that, and they stay in power sometimes for years, right? Now, is that the kind of leadership that we want to promote? I think it is not. So that's why you can't really separate leadership from happiness. You can't separate leadership from what's a deeper definition of happiness, from making life better. So for me, that's what leadership is about. It's about making life better. Otherwise, it's just a technique. It's just a set of techniques skills that people apply to mobilize people around them for a personal purpose, for a purpose that serves them as individuals, quote unquote leaders, at the expense of people around them. And that's, for me, is not leadership. For me, that's not leadership. Other people can call it whatever they want to. If they want to call it leadership, fine. For me, I do not subscribe to that kind of definition. I don't want to subscribe. In fact, I want to fight that kind of definition, and I want to do whatever I can so that I can change that mindset and paradigms, because I don't think that would create the world that I want our kids to live at. I don't think that would create happiness. And frankly speaking, I think it's foolish. It's not even smart, because it's a short-term policy, because this is not sustainable. And if it's because people in the end are smart, and somebody will come and say this is enough, and this is not helping, and this is making things worse, and this is hurting us, right? People in the end, somebody will stop tolerating abuse, right? And will say this is not acceptable anymore. And then somebody will put an end to whatever you're calling this leadership thing, because it's creating damage. So is that smart? No. Because how do we talk about survival, right? That's all about continuity and sustainability, if in the end people kick you out because you hurt them. Is this smart? Short-term thinking, yes, but definitely not long-term thinking, and definitely does not apply to the ultimate rule of survival. That means you stay in the game, you continue to exist, right? And growth. Not only exist and stay in the game, but growth. People will ask you to, stay with them, lead them, continue leading them, and to even they surrender even more trust in you. They surrender more different, more parts of their life into your hands because they feel that it's safe, that what you're trying to do is about making their life better. So definitely, yes, leadership is about happiness. Happiness, of course, at its deep meaning, because happiness is just like leadership now, unfortunately, is also has become a commercial term, but we'll talk about that later. But what I mean about happiness is well-being, is, you know, the creation of the enjoyment of a good life, real deep sense of gratitude that you're enjoying life. That's what I mean about happiness. Not only a shallow feeling that you want to have more of, right? But a deeper feeling that goes to the heart and that even goes to the soul. So at your core, at your soul, you feel this peace and tranquility and this amazing feeling that you want more of. That's what I call happiness. And for me, that's what leadership is all about.
Thank you for listening to the Michael Kouly Podcast. Please visit KoulyInstitute.com and send us an email. We would love to hear your comments and thoughts on this episode. And remember to follow Michael's continuous learning insights on social media.